there's three senses in which I think our minds are beyond our brains. The first is what I call the extended mind, the mind extended in space beyond the brain. And here I'm talking about just ordinary, everyday consciousness, not altered states of consciousness, not out of the body experiences, not electric shocks, not ancient Egypt, but just like now. I think that our minds extend beyond our brains all the time. And I think they do so through fields of the mind, mental fields. We're used to the idea of fields extending beyond material objects from magnets, where there's a magnetic field in and around the magnet, from the Earth, where there's gravitational field in and around the Earth, from mobile phones, where there's electromagnetic field within and around the mobile phone invisibly. There's rooms full of mobile phone transmissions and TV and radio transmissions. Everywhere is. And I think our minds extend too, and particularly through vision. When we look at something, I'm looking out of the window at a tree, for example, I think my image of the tree is where it seems to be, where the tree actually is. I'm projecting out a three-dimensional full-color virtual reality display onto the world around me. And so is every animal with image-forming eyes, that our minds extend outwards in every act of perception. And that's the word attention means to stretch towards, ad tendere. I think our minds stretch towards things in every act of attention. I think they also stretch into things through intention, which means to stretch into. And I think phenomena like telepathy exhibit that ability. If I think about somebody who I want to get in touch with, I intend to get in touch with them, I go to my telephone, look up their number, thinking about them, they may start thinking about me. They pick up my intention. So when I ring them, they say, "That's funny, I was just thinking about you." And this, I think, underlies the very common experience of telephone telepathy. And the extension of the mind through vision, I think, underlies the well-known phenomenon of the sense of being stared at. People feeling when they're being looked at from behind, they turn around, someone's looking at them. So that's the first sense in which I think minds extend beyond the brain. And these are revealed testably in phenomena like the sense of being stared at and telepathy. Secondly, I think minds extend beyond brains in time. We all know that they do. This is not controversial, through memory and also through thinking about the future. Much of our consciousness is concerned with planning about the future, deciding among possibilities. And those are future possibilities. We also have memories of the past. And I think our memories are not stored inside our brains, which is the conventional materialist view, but rather that we resonate with ourselves in the past by morphic resonance. And there's a transfer of memories across space and time through self-resonance. We resonate with ourselves in the past. We also resonate with lots of other people, and that, I think, is the basis of collective memory, what Jung called the collective unconscious. Individual memory and collective memory differ in degree, but not in kind. Both depend on resonance from the past on the basis of similarity. So our minds are extended in time as well as in space. And the third way in which they're extended is that I think they enable us to contact spiritual realms beyond the normal physical realm. And this happens most spectacularly in mystical experiences, when sometimes spontaneously, sometimes through a near-death experience, sometimes through spiritual practices, sometimes through psychedelics, people feel themselves in contact with a greater or certainly different kind of consciousness. In mystical experiences, people often feel themselves in the presence of a consciousness greater than their own, and part of a vastly larger consciousness or mind. I think this is the underlying insight behind all religions, they all start from a direct experience of contact with a much greater realm of consciousness. The Buddha didn't become enlightened through doing a PhD, but by meditating under trees for many years. Jesus didn't become aware of his deep affinity and connection with God, who he thought of as Father, through going to a rabbinical seminary. It came to him in a great moment of insight at the moment of his baptism, when he was held underwater by John the Baptist in the River Jordan, and came up again through a rite of passage, which I think was a kind of near-death experience induced by drowning. I think John the Baptist was carrying out mass-scale rites of passage through inducing near-death experiences through near drowning, holding people under long enough. And Jesus's first moment that's recorded in the Bible of deep insight and spiritual awareness happened then, was followed by his going on a retreat, 40-day fast in the wilderness. So I think that this greater consciousness that we become aware of through mystical experiences also is a way the mind can also be extended to many other forms of consciousness. In dreams and in altered states of consciousness and under the influence of psychedelics, we can encounter many other kinds of consciousness, not just the all-embracing consciousness of ultimate reality, which we can call God or the ultimate reality or the all, or whatever name we choose, but also many other conscious, intelligent entities. In the Judeo-Christian tradition, these are called angels, and there are countless angels, supposedly in this tradition. There are also demons or devils or spirit entities of questionable nature. The Hindus have devas, countless shining beings. Muslims have jinns. So monotheistic religions, although they think of a single supreme ultimate source of consciousness, are also very heavily populated by many other kinds of spirit beings to whom we can be open, both in waking life when people feel the presence of these beings, but more commonly in dreams and in altered states of consciousness. So there are three ways, in summary, that I'm suggesting our minds are extended beyond our brains. In normal waking life, through space, as it were, a horizontal connection that connects us to the environment around us and to other people through telepathic connections. These psychic phenomena, like telepathy and the sense of being stared at, are not spiritual. They're part of our animal nature. Animals have telepathy as well and the sense of being stared at. They're part of the extended nature of our minds in space, extension in time through memory and collective memory and through visions of the future, and also extension to other forms of consciousness that are not in the normal physical world.